In Louisiana, the dead knock back. Doors slam in empty houses. Children wake up speaking in voices that aren't theirs. And deep in the swamps, something watches from just beneath the waterline. Locals say it's the spirits. Witchcraft, murder, voodoo and slavery. This land was soaked in blood long before it was called America. And now, it's haunted by everything it tried to forget. This isn't just a ghost story. This is Louisiana, where the dead don't rest. And where the living don't sleep. Welcome to the Glimp. In Louisiana, ghosts aren't just the stuff of stories. They're woven into the culture, into the rituals, the music, the food, and the language. It is often considered to be the birthplace of voodoo in America. But voodoo here isn't just spells and dolls. It's a spiritual system brought by enslaved West Africans, then fused with French Catholicism and native beliefs. It's real, and deeply sacred. Practitioners say spirits, called Laveau, can inhabit people during ceremonies. They can bless, or punish. At the heart of this culture stands Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of New Orleans. A legendary priestess, she blended voodoo with Catholicism, offering protection and healing. Her tomb at St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is a site of pilgrimage, where offerings are left in hopes of receiving her favor. Some claim to still feel her presence, her spirit watching over the city she helped shape. In 2014, a vandal desecrated her tomb with pink latex paint. Strange thing is, the very next week, he was hospitalized after a freak accident. Locals say the spirit of Marie Laveau doesn't take kindly to disrespect. There are other tales, of dolls that move, of altars that hum, and of spirits that attach themselves to those who try to mock the rituals. Voodoo here isn't just religion. It's a living bridge to the spirit world. While Laveau's influence is immense, she is just one piece of the city's spiritual landscape. Protective charms meant to shield the wearer from evil, these are known as Gris-gris. Many locals still carry them in secret. Others hang them in homes or bury them near front doors to keep spirits away. And then there's the traiteurs, folk healers, mostly found in Cajun and rural communities, who whisper prayers in an old French dialect, using faith and ritual to cure sicknesses that modern medicine can't touch. They say these healers are chosen, not trained. Their power passes down bloodlines, and must never be spoken of directly. Walk into any old cemetery, like the infamous St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, and you'll find tombs stacked above ground, like a miniature city of the dead. The ground is too wet to bury anything deep here. But that also means the dead rest closer to the surface. That's why a lot of locals take extra precaution before they leave here. Some people that didn't, have reported bad luck, strange dreams, or even sightings of ghosts, shortly after a visit. There are stories of tourists laughing at a grave, only to wake up in their hotel room with scratches on their back, or the lights flickering at exactly 3:33 a.m. This is a place where people leave rum and coins for spirits, where crossroads still hold power, and where the line between this world, and the other side, isn't just thin, it's broken. In the heart of New Orleans lies the French Quarter, a place so haunted that even ghost hunters hesitate to joke about it. The scent of jasmine mixes with decay, the sound of music with cries. One of the most infamous places here is the LaLaurie mansion. In 1834, fire broke out at the house of Madame Delphine LaLaurie. What rescuers found inside shocked even hardened New Orleans police. In a locked room in the attic, they discovered tortured slaves, some mutilated, others chained, some grotesquely experimented on. Newspapers from the time, like the New Orleans Bee, reported on the horror in grisly detail. When the townspeople learned the truth, they formed a mob, but LaLaurie escaped, vanishing into legend. Visitors to the mansion, now privately owned, report hearing screaming from behind locked doors. Ghost tours often pause here, and some claim to feel hands pulling at them. Ghost hunting shows have attempted to capture evidence, but the air around the house remains strangely silent, as if the house itself is holding its breath. Move beyond the city, and into the wetlands, and the stories grow older. Deeper. More primal. The Honey Island swamp, shrouded in mist and tangled trees, is home to tales of a beast that is part man, part animal, that is said to stalk the bayou under the cover of fog.
There's just been too many people who have had some type of encounter to say that it's not out there.
Some say this entity was born because of a dark ritual. Other people claim it's the spirit of someone lost to the swamp, twisted by the land itself. But not all the stories walk on two legs. One story stands out. In 1915, a steamboat called the New Cambria was said to have disappeared into the swamp after a storm. Several bodies were never recovered. Locals say you can still hear the horn of the ship in the early morning fog, followed by screams. Fishermen and hunters have claimed to see ghostly lights bobbing through the trees. Some speak of a woman in white, who glides over the water without making ripples. She's called the Mourner, a spirit said to have drowned herself in the swamp after her children were taken by fever. Her cries echo through the cypress, always just behind you. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville is often called one of the most haunted houses in America. Built in 1796, it is allegedly the site of at least 10 murders, though only one is historically verified. The most famous ghost is Chloe, a slave girl who, according to legend, poisoned her master's children. As punishment, she was hanged, and her body thrown into the Mississippi. Visitors say she still walks the property. A 1992 photo taken by a visiting schoolteacher shows a shadowy figure in antebellum clothing, standing in the breezeway. It was reviewed by National Geographic and has never been conclusively debunked. Guests at the plantation often report waking up to see someone standing at the foot of their bed. Doors lock on their own. And mirrors, sometimes show things that aren't there. You've already heard of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, where Marie Laveau still draws offerings. But there's more to it than just her legend. New Orleans has always had a problem with the dead refusing to stay buried. Because of the high water table, most graves here are above ground, tombs made of stone, lined in rows, like streets. In St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, people report voices calling from inside the tombs. Some say they feel watched, even followed. Here, photographers regularly capture unexplained figures. But the most chilling tale comes from Holt Cemetery, a lesser-known, overgrown graveyard where the city's poor were buried. In 2011, police investigated a report of grave robbery. What they found were signs of ritual, bones removed and arranged, chicken blood splattered on the tombstones. Some believed it was connected to dark voodoo rites. Unlike the grand tombs of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, Holt is a potter's field, a resting place for those who couldn't afford more. Graves are marked by crumbling headstones, handmade crosses, or nothing at all. The dead here are buried directly in the ground, often in reused plots. Sometimes, when the soil floods or shifts, bones rise to the surface. Gravediggers have reported finding remains disturbed, not by animals or time, but by hands. Some graves appear freshly opened, despite no record of recent burials. Paranormal investigators say the energy here feels different. Heavy. Like something is watching from between the rows of broken stones. And though authorities downplayed the 2011 incident, those familiar with New Orleans' darker practices weren't surprised. They say Holt has long been used for clandestine rituals, not the sacred voodoo of Marie Laveau, but something else, a twisted offshoot. Offerings have been found under moonlight, jars sealed with wax, bones wrapped in cloth, feathers and teeth tied together with twine.
This is the scene on Napoleon Avenue, a neighborhood of stately homes flooded to the front door. Each encounter gets more and more profound.
We got people in three-story houses that's still trying to survive out in the houses.
When Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005, thousands of people were killed. Many bodies were never recovered. Entire neighborhoods, like the lower Ninth Ward, became silent ruins. Rescue workers reported hearing cries coming from houses that had already been searched. Thermal cameras occasionally picked up figures inside buildings deemed empty. In 2006, a National Guardsman patrolling the area claimed he saw a group of children playing in the street. When he called out to them, they vanished, and there were no footprints in the mud. Paranormal investigators from several networks have documented electronic voice phenomena in the area, recordings that capture faint whispers. One such clip, aired by a local New Orleans station, included a voice saying simply, "Help me." Skeptics say it's just interference, stray radio signals, or the mind filling in blanks. But those who've heard it in person say it didn't sound like static. It sounded like someone trapped. One creature blurs the line between myth and haunting. This creature is somewhat similar to the Honey Island swamp monster. The Rougarou, a Cajun legend passed down for centuries, is said to stalk the swamps and bayous of southern Louisiana. Half man, half wolf, cursed to roam under the full moon. Locals whisper that it's a punishment for those who break Lent, or for those who dabble in black magic and lose control. The legend likely came from French settlers, blending the European Lougarou, werewolf, with Catholic guilt and Cajun superstition. Parents told their kids, "Behave, or the Rougarou will find you in the dark."
If it sounds like we've been reporting on new life at Charity Hospital for 17 years, well, it's because we have. But this time, there's something different happening inside and outside Old Charity.
Charity Hospital in New Orleans, once one of the oldest operating hospitals in the U.S., shut its doors after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. The storm devastated the building. Power failed. Floodwaters rose. Patients had to be evacuated by boat and helicopter from windows and rooftops. After that, the hospital was officially abandoned. But some say, not everything left. People who've snuck inside over the years report the same things: distant crying from empty upper floors, elevators that operate without power, and wheelchairs seen slowly turning in place. In 2019, Charity was still boarded up, awaiting redevelopment. A private security team was hired to monitor the site, and that's when the strangest report surfaced. One contractor told NOLA.com he saw a figure on the hospital's internal cameras, a man in scrubs, walking down a hallway. But when guards swept the floor, it was empty. The footage was said to glitch just before the figure vanished. Paranormal teams have since tried to investigate, but access is tightly controlled. Some speculate the energy left behind from decades of trauma, wars, epidemics, and poverty, has soaked into the walls. Today, Charity Hospital stands in limbo, a monument to suffering, waiting to be reborn, or simply refusing to die. In Baton Rouge, behind its prison walls, there's a place where the past refuses to stay buried. For decades, the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison has stood as a grim symbol of Louisiana's justice system, housing criminals from every walk of life, but it's the souls of those who died within its walls that never left. Built in the mid-1900s, the prison was known for its overcrowding, its brutal conditions, and its dark history. Before this facility, there was another prison, much older, and more brutal. But even with the construction of new buildings, the ghosts of the past still walk these halls. It's said that, after dark, if you walk the old prison yard, you'll feel a sudden drop in temperature. The air thickens with a presence, heavy and watchful. Locals speak of seeing strange figures, barely visible at the edges of their vision, shadows that move in the corners of the yard, or behind the bars of long-forgotten cells. It's as if the past is alive here, unwilling to let go. One of the most chilling stories comes from a night guard who walked the upper floors alone. He says he felt something brush past him, a coldness, like a shiver in the air, but when he turned, there was no one there. The sensation stayed with him, that feeling of being watched. He wasn't the only one. Guards, visitors, even former inmates speak of the same thing, a shadowy figure who walks these halls, a man who is said to be the Gray Man. The gray man is an inmate who died in the prison years ago, though no one can recall exactly how. Some say it was during an execution, others say he was the victim of a violent prison fight. Whatever the cause, his spirit lingers. It's said that if you stand near the old yard gates at night, you can see him standing there, still watching, still waiting, as though he's guarding the place, still waiting to be released. And then there's the woman in the white dress. No one knows exactly who she was. Some say she was a young inmate, who died during childbirth. Others claim she was a guard, cruelly murdered by an inmate. Whatever the story, she wanders the prison in a soft, flowing gown, her figure almost angelic in the darkness, her presence a whisper of sorrow. This prison was a place of torment. A place where human suffering became a daily routine. Those who died here, whether from violence, neglect, or execution, never really left. Some say it's the energy of the prison, the anger, the fear, the despair, that keeps the spirits bound to these walls. Others believe that the souls of those who died here simply refuse to rest. And as long as the prison stands, the spirits that haunt it will never be freed. They are trapped in a cycle of pain, forever bound to a place where justice was often forgotten, where the living couldn't escape, and where the dead never truly rest. In Louisiana, the line between life and death is paper-thin. The ghosts here aren't just stories, they're scars. Memories that walk, and sometimes talk. They inhabit the mansions, the swamps, the streets, and the ruins. They are fueled by history, slavery, storms, disease, and despair. But they're also kept alive by belief. People here don't just tolerate the supernatural. They live with it. So if you ever find yourself walking through the mist of Louisiana, remember. You're not walking alone. You're walking with memory. With ritual. With history. And with the whispers of the dead, who never truly left. If you are interested in more of these ghost stories, please make sure to subscribe, it will help my channel, and it will help you to stay up to date on the channel. Also, please let me know what country's ghost stories you want me to cover next.